killed one gunman, but there was at least one more that was still at large.
I haven't heard anything about that, but I'm thinking it might be a strain of copycats because of what happened a couple days ago here in Quebec.
Okay.
There was I bet you're aware of it. That guy in a car who ran over a couple soldiers.
All right. Yes, and they were talking about that. So they said, yeah, they thought it might be some kind of a terrorist-related event based on that. Thanks, Eric. Let's go to Ron in Canada. Ron, do you have any information about the shooting in Canada?
How are you doing?
Doing good.
Okay, yeah, I do actually. What you were just mentioning, there is another suspect at large, from what I hear on TV.
Are they saying just one? One or more than one?
It's supposed to be a third event that happened somewhere else, and then they took it back and said, no, that didn't happen, then the lockdown was lifted at that place. So I don't know if there's a third, but I do want to say a few things about what I think this is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Go ahead. Sure.
Basically, I think this is ISIS. One of the CBC mentioned that a couple of days ago there was increased activity on Twitter about some of these Syrian jihadis going out calling for attacks against the Canadian government. So I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, isn't it, that we just keep arming them, whether it's intentional or whether it is accidental. You know, we just dropped a load of weapons by parachute to supposedly help their opponents, the Kurds, and then we see on social media that ISIS brags about the fact that all of those weapons basically fell into their hands. We've seen this for a long time. We've been telling people going back years that our government is arming and training al-Qaeda. We've been telling people that ISIS and the terrorists that were in Syria were actually not good guys, and yet our government was arming them and training them to fight the Syrian government. So now we have ISIS, and I'm sure that there will be people, you know, it's not just a false flag. I mean, even if our government identifies radical people in other countries and arms and equips them, that doesn't mean that they aren't going to then use those things domestically against us, of course. Those people are crazy, and it only makes it more dangerous when our government gives them arms and trains them. What's your take on that?
You're exactly right. Well, I knew about that, and you know what I thought about it was ridiculous. Arming these, NSA, or what were the Free Syrian Army, the FSA, to go ahead and to try to take out Assad's forces. Apparently, I heard that the FSA wasn't able to take out Assad, and that it only took like a small handful of ISIS fighters to take out Assad's government. It's ridiculous. I just want to say one more thing before you go, because I know you got a lot of callers you want to get to. Basically, I want to figure out, I know all this is going to come out in detail. I want to know what kind of gun this guy was using, where it was made, what his name was, who is he. I want to know all the identities of these people. And I just have a bad feeling that these guys are Muslim. Mm-hmm. And I'm in Canada. There's a lot of mosques around here. I went to a mosque the other day. I was looking at some of these characters, and man, they look pretty shady. Like, a lot of these guys had hoods on their heads and everything. And in Canada, we accept the Muslim religion as, it's a multicultural country, and we just let everybody operate, with impunity because we allow everyone to do what they basically want to do.
If we have completely open borders, we don't know if convicted criminals are coming into our country. We don't know if we've got terrorists coming into our country. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Chance in Canada. Chance, do you have any information about the Canadian incident today or any comments about it? Go ahead.
Hi, David Knight. You're doing a great job of filling in for Alex Jones. I'm a Prison Planet member and longtime, almost 10-year listener. I don't have any direct information on what's happening immediately, like I'm not there, but I am seeing the reactions from Canadians on call-in shows, like our 640, your local talk show, and they're basically, everyone is doing exactly what happened after 9/11. They're all saying we need to give up our liberties to be able to put on restrictions on these people, to be able to stop ISIS. And nobody's seeing that this is exactly what Alex Jones has been warning about, what people like yourself and what myself have been doing, warning people on the internet, talking about the attacks coming up. And it was no surprise to me that this happened today, and I'm completely Not surprised by the reaction of the Canadian people.
That's the way they always roll it out. Whether it's real or a false flag, they're going to use that crisis to take your civil liberties. They're going to try to scare you about the other person, this mysterious person. Who knows? I mean, we've been told that there were 300 people in...
It's already too late. Criminals have kicked in your door and are now in your home. Before this happens, homeowners have a choice. 1, do nothing and hope you aren't one of the 1.4 million families attacked each year. Or 2, refuse to be a victim. And for as low as $59, reinforce your doors with Door Devils. Door Devils simply attach to existing door frames and have proven to stop the biggest bad guys from kicking in doors. Read our police testimonials of real-life events at doordevil.com. Alarms don't stop kick-ins. We do. Doordevil.com.
With all the chaos in the news today about riots, financial bubbles, and pandemics, the time is now to stock up on your survival kits, emergency food, and water purification systems at endtimeswarehouse.com. Go there now and save big on Nascent Iodine, which usually sells for $29.99, now only $24.99. Find everything you need to be prepared at endtimeswarehouse.com. Preparedness for the end times or anytime. endtimeswarehouse.com.
The experts are clear. Sunlight, purified water, healthy non-GMO food, and having a good attitude is essential to a healthy immune system. But I go further with Super Nascent Iodine X2 from InfoWarsLife.com. 50% stronger than our original and revolutionary Nascent Iodine formula, coming from a deep earth crystal source that no other supplier has. Most other forms of iodine come from seaweed in areas plagued by Fukushima and other contaminants. Not our iodine. It comes from over 200 million-year-old crystal salt deposits and is tested and proven to be completely pure. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today. See the informational videos. Read the information they're compiled. And for a limited time, when you use promo code NOW at checkout, you get an additional 5% off the entire family of InfoWarsLife.com products. Secure your Survival Shield X2 today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
Next to water and food, you need a safe, storable fuel supply for your preparedness needs. Spare Fuel is the answer. Spare Fuel can be used in any gas-powered vehicle or generator. Spare Fuel is perfect for any unforeseen out-of-gas emergencies. Unlike gasoline, Spare Fuel is safe to store with your other supplies, and it can be stored for many years. Go to GetSpareFuel.com for special pricing. That's GetSpareFuel.com.
Hi, I'm Sam Nussbaum, WellPoint's Chief Medical Officer. We proudly support the March of Dimes mission to improve the health of babies and fight premature birth. We're helping the March of Dimes fund breakthroughs in research and community programs that help more moms have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. Join us in working together to provide children with a healthier start in life. Visit marchofdimes.org.
Mike Stenerson for Midas Resources. At no time in history have precious metals been more important, certainly not in my 22 years in the industry. The dollar has lost over 90% of its value in the last 60 years. No fiat currency has ever survived the government printing presses. Ours is not immune. The time is now to be proactive. 1-800-686-2237, extension 116. Anything tied to the dollar is at risk. CDs, annuities, 401ks, IRAs, stocks, bonds, you name it, so decide. Do you want to leave a legacy of wealth or debt for your family? The choice is yours. Call me at 1-800-686-2237, extension 116. That's 1-800-686-2237, extension 116. Be proactive, not reactive. Call 1-800-686-2237, extension 116.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and we're going to be joined in the next segment with Francis Boyle, an expert on bioterrorism, and he's going to talk to us about some weird things going on in Africa around the Ebola outbreak. Now, in the last segment, we were just talking to some callers from Canada, and one of the callers said all the people that he's hearing on talk radio there, they're all being scared about ISIS, and they're willing to give up their civil liberties. I would just remind you that it wasn't that long ago, it was just a few weeks ago, that we had the candidate for Senate, Scott Brown in New Hampshire, saying that he thought that we ought to take the citizenship away of anybody that we accuse of being on ISIS's side in Syria. Of course, that's really easy to just move from there to just accusing somebody with being with ISIS and taking away their rights or their citizenship here, because then that makes it a little bit more easier to deny their other due process. And of course, we were told that we've heard that there's up to 300 Americans who are fighting with ISIS, and if we take away their citizenship, they won't be able to get back in the country. Really? Do you need citizenship or permission to get into this country through our open borders? That's nonsense. Besides, the FBI then came in and said, no, it's probably more like about 12. But we had Ted Cruz jump on that bandwagon too. We don't want to give up our liberties by being scared into this ISIS thing. Remember that it was our government who funded and trained these people, who set them up in a way that they could then have a justification to go back into Syria, which is what they've been trying to do for 2 years. Let's not get scared into this. But speaking of Scott Brown, the centerfold senator, as he was using that ridiculous analogy, saying we need to just be able to arbitrarily strip them of their citizenship to keep them from coming back into the country. Listen to what his opponent had to say in that race.
Do you approve of the job President Obama is doing? Now, there'll be a chance to follow up, but this is a yes or no answer. Do you approve, yes or no?
In some ways I approve, and some things I don't approve.
Check on the
like most questions that we deal with as policymakers, there aren't simple answers.
Yeah, she was for him before she was against him, but maybe she's not. You know, we're seeing over and over again how the Republicans and the Democrats are really the fringe candidates. Look at the situation in Florida. We've got a libertarian running there, Adrian Wiley. He's really a serious candidate, unlike Charlie Crist and Donald Scott. The only thing serious about them is that the media is taking them seriously. He's polling, the libertarian candidate, third-party candidate, is polling around 10% in the polls, and yet, of course, they won't let him in the debates. We see that over and over again. That's a reminder that we are going to be doing an election coverage here as part of the InfoWars Nightly News. Now, if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. It's one way that you can support our operation. You can share it with other people. You can see Alex's documentaries. But we're going to have a special election coverage the night before the election, the Monday night before the election. We're going to have live coverage for a couple of hours for our subscribers. And we're also going to have about a 4-hour live coverage on election night. And we're not going to be just covering the horse race aspects of it or the Republican versus Democrat aspect of it. We're also going to look at some of the issues. You know, they're going to be looking at whether or not they're going to get rid of the income tax in Tennessee. That's going to be interesting. We're going to be looking at some ballot initiatives for a lot of different things. So we're going to be looking at the freedom aspect of things, not just the left-right paradigm. And the serious candidates that we see over and over again, there's a lot of people who are giving a serious look to people outside the Republicans and Democrats. They keep voting for the same thing and getting the same results. They're looking for something different. I think it's very interesting that this guy in Florida is talking about essentially ending property taxes for people who live in their home and adjusting the tax burden around sharing, doing revenue sharing with the state and the county, but also basically cutting back government. Have you seen even the Republicans cutting back government? No. You can go back just a few years and you can get rid of something like the property tax for people who are living in their homes. It's also interesting the way some of this is coming into play. And he's at 10% in the polls, and that's going to be a tight race in Florida. So, you know, he could basically throw that into a runoff. We see the same thing happening in Chicago. An interesting thing there is that a union has already donated $30,000 to the Libertarian candidate, and it looks like they're going to give them 6 figures in that state. So there's some interesting dynamics here, but it really is fundamentally about where people are going to fall on the freedom spectrum. It's not a left-right thing. If you think it's a left-right thing, you really need to look up the Nolan chart. Search that on Google. That gives you a much better picture of where people are on a spectrum. It's not just left or right, as Ronald Reagan said, it's up or down. Are we going to go down towards authoritarianism, towards taking away our freedoms, or are we going to move up towards liberty, to greater freedom? Are we going to have people that are really going to move against the NSA? That's something we're going to be covering in our special election report. And look at our newsletter. We've got a new newsletter launch. It's unique content. You can sign up for it in the upper right-hand corner of our website. It's a way that you can stay abreast of breaking news.